Welcome to another segment of Coffee with the Carrier. I'm Ken Doyle, Senior Vice President with LISI, and it's my pleasure to be sitting here with Scott Kranzel, Senior Vice President with Health Net. Fantastic partnership we have. I am excited about today.
Ken, I am excited as well. Thanks so much for having me. Hey, and I need to deliver a little factoid to you too. This one will knock your socks off. Can you believe that Health Net has been in this market for 40 years? It's our 40th anniversary.
40 years. Wow. That is actually longer than we've been in the industry, right?
Yeah, that's the line, and that's what we're sticking with.
All right, 40 years strong. Congratulations for 40 years.
Oh, thank you.
So, let's talk a little bit about the industry. You've been in it a couple years, like myself. What have you seen lately?
What have we seen lately? You know, it seems as the industry is moving faster and faster every day. But with that comment, I don't think there's been a more exciting time to be in our industry. And you know, that's driven by a bunch of different things. Technology certainly at the forefront. You know, we have now multiple generations that are impacted. You know, and it starts with those that still like getting their information from the newspaper or the telephone, all the way to those that don't want to talk to anyone and just want to get it on a little portable device.
Absolutely. And thinking about some change that has happened over the last few years, you guys were acquired by Centene. How has that been?
You know, the acquisition by Centene has been great for Health Net, and I think it's been great for our members too. It actually, Centene Corporation happens to be one of the fastest growing companies in the segment. You look at Fortune magazine, as a matter of fact, and I don't know how many years in a row it is now, but a lot. But what it's really done is it's allowed Health Net to continue delivering on the legacy that we're known for, and that folks have become very comfortable with. But it's given us resources that, quite frankly, prior to the acquisition, we just did not have access to.
That's fantastic, because, you know, quite often with acquisitions, and especially Centene is really known for a different segment. Has that allowed you to be a lot more focused in the commercial space? Talk about that.
It absolutely has allowed us, quite frankly, to be more focused in every space that we're in, because of course we're in the commercial space, but also in the senior space, in the Medicare space, and in the Medicaid space as well. And so what it's done is it's allowed us to kind of pinpoint our focus there, as opposed to having to be distracted with all the extraneous things that come along with being kind of an independent company.
So, with this shift, you touched on it, generations, and I think now we have about 4 generations in the workspace, from those who are kind of on the retirement side, I would say, to the younger millennials coming in at the other end. It gives a huge dynamic of how the buying process of insurance happens. Internet has come in play. You talked about the smart devices, tablets, etc. What do you think the shift has been, or the direction brokers will play in this online buying preference?
So, you know, some would argue that our industry, the health insurance industry, is now, because of technology, digital devices and so forth, is a very transactional industry, and they would question the need for third parties, if you will. But what I would say is the buying process, particularly when it comes to healthcare, is much different than buying, for instance, a pair of shoes. And so there are a lot of things that when you look at them on the internet may not be apparent. And so the role of brokers and general agents, of course, has certainly evolved. But at the end of the day, folks still need those that they can turn to as experts and trusted advisors.
I think with all of the access of information online, consumers are much more informed, but then it can become confusing. You have kind of like this convergence of payroll, compliance, benefits, HRIS, all of these things coming in. How has that impacted your decisions, Health Net, et cetera, and your member base?
So the way that that's impacted our decisions is we're very much aware of that. The good news is that between ourselves as the health insurer, LISI as an example is a general agent, and then the broker, and then you take all of the different software services that are available. It kind of allows a parsing out of that, excuse me, so that smaller companies where they kind of had to be chief cook and bottle washer in the past may not necessarily be the case. And I know in particular, you folks have a lot of different tools. What have you seen with the tools that you make available?
It's a great question. And I would say a lot of the things that we've been working on for the last couple of years has really been behind the scenes. Understanding compression is a key component with the industry. Time and accuracy is another key component that's top of mind for us. So how do we get better at aggregating data and pushing it across? I mean, you have different systems coming into play between Ben admin systems, payroll systems, HRIS, compliance. How do we connect the dots and how do we share this information? And then, last but not least is how do we get that information over to you as a carrier? That has been one of the best connections that has happened lately, to be able to connect through EDI with Health Net. So we're collecting this information, we can push it across, and it's not printed out on a piece of paper. It's not rekeyed in. So a lot of our educational process and learning with brokers, especially inside with our own staff, is how do we work in a different environment, a digital world. And we're at the tip of the iceberg right now. 2 years from now, I can tell you our conversation is going to be a little bit different. But it's exciting. Like you said, it is an opportunity that I am grateful for being in this seat at this time. That there is a lot of ways that we can go, and I see that our tools that we're building, trying to be able to, number one, create this foundation that we can collect and share this information quickly and get it across. Now turning it around to the broker world and to share this information with them. We just launched Dash. Dash is short for dashboard, but it is the window for the broker. They can come in and kind of self-serve. They don't have to get on the phone. They don't have to wait for that email to go through, for somebody to be sitting at that desk or answering, at that moment. They can jump in and they can see where their case is, their book of business. And I think one of the key components that most people don't realize is technology is 24/7, 365. So if you're working on something, and in our industry quite often, especially in the sales world, life does not stop at 5 o'clock. I'm sorry. So if you're working on something that you need to get over to us, you can send it, you can upload it through Dash, and it will be put into the queue when somebody comes into work, whether it's at 7:30 or 8, whatever time in the morning they get, it's queued up for them, they can start on it. Rather than sending it in via email, you got security issues there, this is completely compliant, and then you have to wait for somebody else to touch it and move it across. So leveraging things like this, folks are going to hear a lot more about Dash, and it is a tool that is just rolling out, and there's going to be many phases. It's going to offer brokers all the way out to their clients a lot of access to information quickly, speed of enrollment, and as I always say, access to care. With Dash, it is laid on top of Salesforce. The beautiful thing about Salesforce is it's an industry standard. Carriers are on Salesforce, Health Net's on Salesforce. Not only does it connect our sales teams out in the field, it brings the operations together. It is a tested and proven software platform that has a lot of capabilities, and we can just add on to it and build from there. So being able to, down the road, I see Salesforce connecting with Health Net directly, so it's not even an EDI feed, it is an API feed software to software. So there's so many benefits and opportunities and features that will be coming down the road that I'm extremely excited about. So Scott, a couple weeks ago we had a broker focus group, which was really unique, and we got about 22 brokers together, had a lot of dynamic questions with them to understand technology, where they're at in it, and kind of at the entrance coming in, maybe 50% of their block of business was already on a Ben admin system that they're utilizing, all the way up to some of the heavy users where 100% of their business is all digital, and really going this direction all the way through online enrollment. And I think I had talked about earlier about the shift in generations. We're seeing more folks coming in with online enrollment, even out into the ag, the manufacturing firms, based on smartphones, tablets, etc. It doesn't have to be on a computer, that they're having success and the opportunities to go and just execute on enrollment meetings a lot easier than traveling from point A to point B to point C, especially in Q4. One of the unique areas that came up for discussion in this and their questions back to us was around AI and how they could see our world shifting, advancing quickly with the use of AI. What's your thoughts on that?
So interesting that you mentioned that there's kind of a range right now, first and foremost, from 50 to 100%. I think we're going to see that creep closer and closer to 100%. And one of the statistics that I saw from a recent study is that actually within our industry and the broker world, about 25% of those that are brokering health insurance today will be retiring in the next year. And so of course what happens is we see a shift there, and those that are perhaps more comfortable relying upon technology will move in. So we'll see an even bigger reliance there. But in terms of artificial technology and what are our thoughts on that, we're looking at this as an opportunity to allow for more what I would call self-service, and that goes the whole way through the equation. So self-service from the member level to the broker, to the GA, and I think as you may have mentioned, the internet fortunately is a 24/7, and so it's a tool that 20 years ago none of us would have thought, hey, it doesn't really matter where, when.
Right.
Today we can get that.
There's always the fear that AI will come in and lay off staff. And I kind of chuckle at that. And you've seen AI step into a lot of different industries, financial industry, Wall Street, right? Where now, 15 years ago, you couldn't trade without a stockbroker or something of that nature. Now you can go on and you can do trading online and stuff. I wouldn't say our industry is that simple. Although stock trading, day trading is probably not that simple. A lot of people find out the hard way. But there's a lot of education and there's a lot of dynamics that come into play when we're talking group insurance. I think advantage of AI, where in the past a lot of information was put in via data, keyed in, and then somebody has to go in and say, is this box checked, etc. AI will be able to really assist us in moving things through quicker. In our world, it still comes down to a knowledge base, a relationship base, and the interaction with the employer, because every employer is slightly different. How do you guys take a look at segmentation, meeting the needs of employers, especially in this now small group world of 1 to 100, where we can segment that into a few slices. They're not all created equal. What's your thoughts around that?
Well, first I want to come back to the comment that you made about AI and eliminating the need for people. Mm-hmm. I think in our industry, we need to look at it a little bit differently, because I think what AI represents for our industry, it's an opportunity. And when I say it's an opportunity, what I mean by that is that, manual processes that we can automate. So to the extent that we can automate things, and then to the extent that we have redundancies in processes. So for example, perhaps LISI and Health Net do something very, very similar. We need to work as partners to figure out where those redundancies are and eliminate them. But what it really does, it frees up resources to focus on other things that can bring value to the equation. And they may be things that we haven't even thought of today. But I would say then, to the direct question that you asked, this is a service industry that we're in. And when you have a service industry, it's really about people. And there are certain things that technology can do very well, and there are certain things that technology doesn't do so well in. And while it continues to evolve, I quite frankly, and I don't think, and speaking on behalf of Health Net for that matter, don't see that human component going away. Based on the feedback that we get from our members and our brokers, that is a very important piece of what they see in Health Net.
So health insurance, I'm sure you've thought about growing up, going into this world, and being in the insurance industry your entire life, right?
Well, don't we all?
Exactly. But what do you do when you're not playing in insurance?
When I'm not playing in insurance, Thanks for asking. There are actually three really important components there. Sunshine, exercise, and exploring.
Sunshine, where? Are we talking Caribbean? Are we talking just cold sunshine? What kind of sunshine?
Well, I prefer warmer climates
Okay.
myself, but to be quite honest about it, I love the sunshine right here in California.
Going back to technology and the employer, what have you been kind of thinking about from the Health Net side of things that employers are asking for, wanting, and maybe some of the things in the back office that you guys are cooking up?
Yep. So things that employers are asking for are things that can make their job easier. And as an example, it used to be that most employees were dependent on their employer whenever they had a question as it pertained to just about anything around their employment, but particularly benefits. And of course, with a lot of the tools that we've launched and that we make available to our members, a lot of it's now self-service.
Okay.
And so that actually frees that employer up to focus on their business. And you take that, you combine it with the support that they then get from their broker and from the general agent, and we've kind of got a full service suite, if you will.
Do you see employers asking for wellness programs or education programs that can push out to employees?
Absolutely, and that's, we talked earlier about artificial intelligence. One of the challenges before was balancing the issues of privacy with desires for wellness. And so it was really hard to do without crossing those boundaries, 10 years ago. And today, there are applications out there where we can put wellness programs in place. Members can pursue that, and we can report out then to employers in terms of engagement rates without getting into things that are confidential in nature.
So there has been a lot of discussions around concierge care. Telemedicine has been at the top of, is it working, is it not? Are people engaging in it? Thoughts around that?
So, one of the hallmarks of our industry is engaging members. Key to engaging members is being able to meet them how, where, and when they want or need care. So telemedicine is one component of it. Certainly the conventional brick and mortar element is another. But a third that we've seen the return of now and that we're offering is what I would call the old house calls. People thought house calls were gone for good. They're actually back, and they're proving to be very popular with members. You don't have to sit in a waiting room, and particularly if you have sick children or something like that. What better than the doctor comes to you?
So what are doctors saying about that? Are they enjoying that concept? Is it new to them, or bringing back the old?
The reaction that we've had from providers is very positive to that, and the reason for that is, I think we all know that the delivery system, the conventional delivery system, is somewhat strained for capacity because the goal is not just seeing people when they're sick, but seeing people when they're well too. How do you keep someone well? And that is you give them tools to maintain their own health.
What a concept. With that said, consumerism, where we've gone, how is Health Net addressing the issue of bending this cost curve? It's not about medicine, the RX, just treating the illness. It's about how do you keep people on a different path of being healthy, thinking about what goes into your body, how you treat your body. Your body's kind of your temple. In most instances, I mean, there's always the exception, but what's your thoughts around that, and where's Health Net going with that?
So where we are going and where we will continue to go is we want to position ourselves as a source of information, and we also want to collaborate with the partners and providers that, quite frankly, make up the healthcare system. Because we believe that if we do that and we do it effectively, it kind of surrounds the member, which is really what our whole business should be about. It's not about you or I, it's about the member.
You had talked earlier about engagement. Engagement is a new dynamic, I would say, since 2000. And where I'm going with that is, how do we engage with consumers? Well, since social media platforms have come to play, where people used to pick up a newspaper and you'd hear about something that happened 2 or 3 days ago. Now you pick up a smartphone and you know something that happened a minute or two ago. Really a whole different world on how good and bad information can travel, but education, knowledge base, how are you guys addressing social media platforms and this type of community engagement?
Actually, we're embracing it, and part of what we're doing is we have a focus on actually integrating into it, because a lot of that dialogue that takes place is very, very positive. You're right, rumors get started, false information gets started, but there's also interchange of a lot of very, very positive and constructive and beneficial information. And if you think about social media in a little bit different context, it's actually an opportunity to lead those discussions based on value that we can bring. It's kind of channeling those discussions in ways that are going to be of benefit to whoever your audience is. So whether we're talking about employers that might be in social media, brokers that may be in social media, or individual members that may be in social media.
One thing that I always think about when I'm going into a project, working for a company, whatever it might be, and this is not just for the insurance industry, but it's about me personally, and whether it's in my business world or my personal life, is truly understanding my why. What is my purpose? And what is the passion about driving me to accomplish something? Stepping back now and thinking about you and Health Net, what is Health Net's why? Why are you going down this road? What are you trying to accomplish from it?
The why for Health Net is how can we improve people's lives and make them better, no matter where they're at in life. And that's why we stretch across all segments. So from individuals that may be self-employed, to small businesses, large businesses, major businesses, individuals that are Medicare eligible, and of course Medicaid too. And so it's really about, as you look across, that's really the base that we all should be serving. And we take that very, very seriously and look for ways to offer solutions to make affordable healthcare accessible, and make sure that it's quality healthcare too.
I think it is a key, especially if you can get a member to truly understand your why, Health Net, that they enjoy being a member of the Health Net family, and thinking about their stages in life. You talked about this, right? Whether you're an individual, you get hired by a company, you then maybe retire and move into a senior plan. Do you guys sit back and really think about how does that thread run through somebody's life to transfer across into the various segments?
We absolutely do look at that, and you probably saw me smile when you were asking that question, because one of the things that we're looking at is how can we make that an even smoother experience for the member?
So Health Net, up until this last year, especially in the small group arena, not the large group arena. I mean, you guys have been extremely competitive, but you were a bit out of the market up until the last year, and now you have come back blazing guns, going into the LA market, the Orange County market, etc. What's your strategy on coming into California in the small group arena and really spreading through the state?
So the key is sustainability. The one thing that we are absolutely committed to is delivering solutions that are sustainable. And so when you say guns blazing, what I would say in reaction to that is that the cost structure is aligned with the rates. And the good news is that it's competitive. We're going to continue to work in that direction, and it's not just about affordability. You can't look at affordability in our business without looking at quality. And a key to both of those components is truly the provider community. And so we are probably working more collaboratively with providers than we ever have in the past, and that really will be the key to success moving forward too.
Absolutely. HMO, PPO.
Yes.
What market do you want to play in? Or is it both, or talk about it?
I think actually my answer, I didn't even know the question, but I think the answer is yes. So most know us for HMO, and certainly the majority of our membership is currently enrolled in HMO programs. But we also know that the reality of it is that there is a high degree of interest in and a need for PPO as well. And so I think what you'll see moving forward, certainly HMOs are not going to go away, nor would we suggest that they should. But I do think that as we move forward, we will continue to look at ways to deliver even more solutions in the PPO space as well.
So let's go back and talk a little bit about how we got started. Health Net is now, but tell us a little bit about your past.
Wow, my past. Just a few years there. Actually, I started life out. My first career, as I like to joke, was in a family business. And as I was going through school, I was trying to figure out, like most of us do, what is it I want to be when I grow up? And I'm still working on that, by the way. But at the time that I was graduating from college, I kind of looked at what's going on in our economy. And that's when manufacturing, unfortunately, a lot of it was being offshored. So I kind of refocused on service industries. And today that would be very easy to do, to figure out what those opportunities are, because it's called the internet, right? But at that point in time, not quite so easy. So I did some research. And as I looked at service industries, believe it or not, insurance is one of those that came to the top. And that's where it all started for me. I never dreamed that I would be in the insurance business, but I happened to identify that as an opportunity, explored it, started out in a direct sales role, and have kind of grown through various different types of sales and management roles, and then leadership roles, and started on the East Coast, as a matter of fact. Cold and warm Pennsylvania. There's no perfect Pennsylvania. I guess I probably shouldn't say that. There are a few days that are really good.
And when the Eagles are winning?
Well, it depends on where you live in the state.
That's true. East or West.
But no. So the industry just kind of clicked with me. One of the things that works very well with me is no 2 days are alike. And the industry is always challenging, and it's about delivering solutions. So that's kind of my background. Started over 25 years ago. I've spent all of my career on the carrier side of things. Here we are today.
So we know that Health Net plays in a lot of different markets. What is your vision and commitment to the commercial segment?
Our vision and commitment to the commercial segment is more focused now than it's ever been in the past. Our goal is to continue to grow and expand the commercial segment in terms of where we're at geographically within the state, and in terms of products that even better meet needs. And it actually expands through our distribution network too. So our commitment to our general agents and to our brokers. We know that you look to us to deliver on solutions, and we're continuing to work closely in a collaborative fashion with the distribution network as well as providers too, to make that happen.
How do you see the GA working with Health Net moving forward?
We see it as an integral part of our distribution model. Ultimately, it's the market that's going to determine the value that we as a carrier, you as a GA, and then the broker bring to the equation. But if you think about it, one size doesn't fit all. And particularly if you look at brokers, their needs vary. And you deal with brokers that some need very minimal support, and some need a lot of support. And it's not saying anything positive or negative against any of those brokers. It's just their particular business models. But we as the insurer also look at it in terms of efficiency and effectiveness and the ability to deliver end-to-end solutions. And when we look at it in that way, the general agent is truly a key part of it.
What more would you like to see from a GA to help you distribute products? We could flash back to the 80s when GAs were first introduced. Do you see it kind of going back to that, where we're reaching out to a lot of the small brokers in areas where you're having a hard time, maybe putting reps in the field to cover that? Or what are the dynamics in the relationship as we move forward do you see this playing out as?
Well, I know we've spent a lot of time together in the past year, Ken, kind of brainstorming a little bit in terms of how we can complement one another. And I think we need to do that moving forward, too. It's collaboration. It's arriving at solutions for needs that are not met in today's world. And you know, we've talked about how the industry continues to evolve. As the industry continues to evolve, so do the opportunities.
If we go back and talk about distribution and working with the GA on the connectiveness to streamline the data share, what is your investment in that from a company? Is it top of mind? Is it down the ranks a little bit? Where are you guys sitting on that?
It's very much top of mind for us, because one of the things that we continue to look at is how can we make quality healthcare solutions more affordable. And some of that affordability, no doubt, comes into how can you streamline operational processes in some of the service components. So it's absolutely top of mind, and quite frankly, if it weren't for us, you should be worried.